I said before this series, the Pirates need to win two in Miami, and they're not going to. They were embarrassed 8-2 on Wednesday in a bullpen game. Yeah, a bullpen game. That thing that would have been the death of them about 3, 4 weeks ago. It didn't work out, and I suspect we're going to see more bullpen games. So while tomorrow we're going to talk about the season and the collapse, today I just want to focus on something that the 2026 Pirates have to address if they just want to cross the finish line. Who is going to make these starts? Good morning and welcome to Offbeat here on North Shore 9 presented by FanDuel. My name is Alex Stumpf and this is a daily look at your Pittsburgh Pirates. Starting pitching depth was always going to be a concern with this team. They traded away Mike Burrows and they traded away Johan Oviedo, two moves that made sense for what they wanted to accomplish. The Burrows trade, really good. Brandon Lau has been an impact player. Jake Mangum has done a good job in reserve. Mason Montgomery looks like someone who could be part of this bullpen for years to come. It's a good trade. And even the Oviedo trade, even if Jostinson Garcia hasn't really played well, you can still see the value in it. He could pan out. But even then, even whenever they made those trades, it was like, okay, they're going to supplement this group in some way. They're going to sign a veteran free agent. They always sign a veteran left-hander. And they didn't. And it turns out maybe they didn't need to early in the year. They had a pretty good rotation going. But as the years progressed, and this rotation has not impressed, and almost everyone has regressed, not adding a pitcher, at least at the trade deadline, looks like a confusing decision. This is a team that knew they were going to have a lot of young pitchers eclipsing their previous high for innings pitched. They may not have been able to foresee Paul Skenes' fastball velocity was going to go down to 95, 96. And the Mitch Keller injury happening the day before the deadline, that's tough. That's really bad timing to find out that one of your 5 starting pitchers is out for the rest of the year. But they still could have made a move. And as we talk about, this lineup and why didn't they add a right-handed bat, not adding a pitcher, I think, is more confusing. Because the bat, you at least have Oneil Cruz, who was supposed to be back from the injured list, not terribly long. You might get Ryan O'Hearn back. You might get Connor Griffin back. The injuries could be like, okay, that's how you improve the offense in the last portion of this season. Don't really have that for the starting pitching. Especially whenever Paul Skenes is being pulled after 65 pitches in 5 innings. I can't help but wonder, that's 2 starts in a row. I can't help but wonder if this is maybe a 5 and dive portion of the season for him. Just trying to get him to cross the finish line of this year. But it's not just him. Jared Jones, he's always going to have restrictions this year. Bubba Chandler, I don't know if he's going to pitch more than 6 innings the rest of this way. Same with Braxton Ashcraft, who is also thrown more innings than he ever has before. So you have some legitimate concerns of how deep can your starting pitchers go into games. And right now, the 5th spot in the rotation is basically a bullpen game. Carmen Mlodzinski has started both, and he has not done well in either. Wednesday was just a poor start. 4 earned runs allowed, over 2 1/3. Wasn't really locating, was walking batters, wasn't missing bats. It was a rough outing. And in a lot of cases, it's like, yeah, it's a starting or a relief pitcher converting back to being a starting pitcher. That's going to be tough. Here, I don't know if you can really say that because they're not asking him to go 5 or 6 innings. Don Kelly told reporters in Miami before the game he was hoping for 3 or 4. And that's basically what he's been doing out of this bullpen role. So now you have a pitcher who has thrown basically within 1 actual inning the same amount of innings as a starting pitcher and as a relief pitcher. And as a relief pitcher, he has 2.15 ERA over 50 and a third innings. And in 49 and a third innings, he has a 5.47 ERA as a starter. I go back to May and everything that went down whenever he was demoted to the bullpen. Man, that's not a pretty, you're not making a compelling case to start if your ERA is over 3 runs higher as a starting pitcher compared to a reliever. I still do think he is going to get a lot of innings on those fifth days in the rotation. It might not always be as a starter. It might be as a bulk guy. It might, he might have an opener in front of him. There's a lot of different ways that it could go. But can you really do that the rest of the way with this bullpen if you don't have anyone else in your rotation that you just feel like any given day he could go 7 innings and give everyone a breather? I look at Bakar and it's like he might throw 100 innings this year. I look at Yohan Ramirez and he might throw close to 100 innings this year. And Yohan Ramirez has been a pretty dedicated, like 1 or 2 up reliever his entire career before this year. And then he was throwing those innings on Tuesday, and he had a really good outing Tuesday. He kept it a ball game, with 3 scoreless frames, but you see the velocity start to fluctuate. You get concerned a little bit. Yohan Ramirez has had an outstanding year, all things considered, for this team. But I don't know how many times I could count on him to go 3 ups, 3 innings. Same with Bakar. And there are a couple other guys in AAA Indianapolis that I'm sure we are going to see again. Christian Curtis was activated off of Indianapolis's injured list on Wednesday. Had a really good outing in Cleveland. I think he's still developing as a pitcher, as a prospect. But if he has to throw major league innings, you can do that. Wilbur Dotel could potentially be stretched out again. I could see him go 3-4 innings in an outing. Same with Antoine Kelly, if not pushing it a little further. But man, that's a lot to ask of your guys. That's transactions. That's ups and downs. That's just trying to find a way to cobble together enough innings to get through this last quarter of the season. And whenever you have these types of discussions, that's why this team, I think this season's over. Because you can't have these types of conversations. And even if you do go on a great run to insert yourself back into the wild card discussion, even if you have a legendary run and you make it into the postseason, it's like, how do you beat a team in the postseason whenever your starting pitchers can't go deep into games and all of your relief pitchers are being asked to go 3 or 4 innings each up? This is a team that did drastically improve their bullpen, their biggest addition being Luke Weaver, who has thrown 11 pitches as a Pirate so far. And they weren't even meaningful pitches. They were down. This is 7 straight series losses in a time of year where you really separate the pretenders and the contenders. At this point, I kind of look at, okay, regroup. How do you get this rotation into 2027? Unless like Braxton Ashcraft or Bubba Chandler get hurt or their stuff really drops off, really want them to get through the whole year. Pitch 6 full months. If they're 5 and dives, if they're shorter starts, figure it out. That'll benefit the 2027 team. Just having them have that experience, know that next year, whenever you get to September, not everyone's going to be as gassed. Have your starting pitchers run through the bag. You can do that, but again, you're going to need to find middle relievers. You're going to have to find ways to just get through these games. And man, it would be a whole lot easier if they just found a way to acquire a 5th starter at the deadline. I don't think it would have made a difference at the end of the day of getting this team to the postseason. I think the flaws with this club have finally shown themselves. not having real right-handed hitters. You could attribute some of that to the Connor Griffin injury, but, Marcell Ozuna wasn't that guy. Nick Gonzalez has had reverse splits. Jared Triolo's had reverse splits. They haven't had anyone who could hit a lefty. That was always an inherent flaw with this team. The bullpen was one also, and it's the strength right now, and it's really their only path to them completing this year, I think. Just finding a way to cobble together some bullpen games, and that's assuming they want to stick with a 5-man rotation. September, in years past, we've seen them go 6-man. Build in that extra day if there isn't like a scheduled off day. That's surely going to be a lot of bullpen innings too. This was supposed to be one of the best rotations in baseball, and right now, they are 21st in team ERA at 4.46. They have a higher ERA this year than last. Everyone pretty much across the board has. It's an issue because this was a team coming into the year that was supposed to be anchored by its young starting pitching. And there is a little bit of a curse with young starting pitching. You have to be more careful with their arms. They are doing stuff that they have never done before. There are going to be learning experiences. And that was always going to be part of this team. And I don't know if this team was built with that fully in mind. It's different if Mitch Keller's still healthy and still throwing innings, but he wasn't having a really good year. This wasn't the Mitch Keller of old where you could count on him to go 5-6 innings every day, no matter what. That's what this team needs. They don't really have that guy right now. So it's going to put a lot of stress on this bullpen. And it's going to put a lot of stress on guys like Carmen Mlodzinski. That whenever he does get a chance to start, he can't pitch to a 5.47 ERA. If he's only expected to go 3 or 4 innings, just let it eat. Don't pitch like a starting pitcher. Pitch like the relief pitcher that you've been the last couple months. That's fine, but he needs to really go those 3 or 4. And he didn't on Wednesday. And that game spiraled out of control. I think tomorrow we are going to talk about the historic part of another collapse with this team. But first, you've got to find a way to finish 2026, and it's not exactly clear how they're going to do that right now. Thank you so much for listening to Offbeat here off North Shore 9, presented by FanDuel. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe wherever you find podcasts, or check us out on YouTube if you want to see my smiling face. Thank you so much for listening. We'll talk again tomorrow.
All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube, if you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support, and let's go Bucs.